Oh, yeah. It's good to start with some rock music in the morning. I like it. Good morning. Welcome to the show, Coffee Time with Marie Teresa, CPA. Woo-hoo!
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Pedro.
Good morning, Marie. Good morning, everybody. This is a good way to start.
We want energy. We want lots of energy. We need
Exactly.
it during these times, you know? Uh,
Exactly.
So, welcome to our listeners, our viewers. Hope you've had a great 4th of July weekend last week and a great week this week. Thanks for those of you who are returning to our show. We love having you here. For those of you who are new, give us a thumbs up or hands up in the comments so we know you are new and we welcome you with open hearts. Of course, I always encourage you to go ahead and like, subscribe the channel that you are watching us on. We go live every Thursday at 10 a.m. on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So go ahead, click like, subscribe, the bell, all of that stuff. And also don't forget to share, don't keep it to yourself, share with others so they can also learn. Other entrepreneurs can also learn from us and they can implement those strategies that we're sharing into their business. A quick intro. I am your host, Marie Terosian. I'm a CFO, an auditor, a certified public accountant, and a chartered global management accountant. I use my proprietary and registered methodology, Valuation MT, to help businesses that reach their first million to 10x their profits. And I've actually just finished an ebook based on that methodology, and I'll be releasing it shortly in the next week or so. So just if you want to be on the waiting list, you can go ahead and submit your contact information on www.theprofitlab.biz. You can put it right into the contact thing, that little box. So I'm also a Grant Cardone licensee, and I coach businesses in sales, marketing, and money mindset. Author of 2 books, The Complete Guide to Business Growth and The Business Owner's Guide to Operational Accounting. I'll also put in the banner and in the comments those books as well so you can read, learn, and implement into your business. So, of course, my guest every week is my colleague, my friend, Pedro Gonzalez, CPA. Pedro, great having you here today. And
Well,
as always,
it is a good day, a good sunny day here in South Florida. So, welcome. Good morning,
absolutely.
Marie. Good morning, everybody. Pedro Gonzalez, CPA, your business and tax strategist, helping businesses with cash flow. Like I said many times, cash flow is the lifeblood of any business, regardless of size
Yes.
and industry. And in today's environment, cash flow is definitely something that you must be addressing. Number two, we also deal with tax planning. And tax planning is a way to minimize taxation and improve your business and your individual finances and wealth. Taxation, we have said many times, erodes your wealth. And nothing wrong with looking for ways to minimize taxation. And number three, exit strategies. We all are going to exit. It just depends on how we're going to exit. So, starting now, looking into uh, ways to start devising your strategy. So then when your exit comes, you're getting the most beneficial situation. I have mentioned before. I'm going to briefly mention that my
Mhm.
ebook that we have released. It's on investment strategy for real estate investors. If you're interested, there's some strategy in there that would apply not only to investors but in general. So I would encourage you to download it. But with that said, I'll throw it back at you, Marie. Today we have a good topic, so I'm excited about it.
Yeah, same here. By the way, guys, I have Pedro's ebook, linked down there on the banner. So just go ahead and make sure to get that. Um, Next time, maybe we should have an easier, like a read version, so we can read it. So for those who are listening, it'll be easier for them to go
That
get
is
it as
true.
well. So
Yeah, that's a really
yes,
good.
we have to think of the listeners as well.
Yes, yes.
Uh, um, okay, so just a quick summary before we start today's conversation is, we have talked about tax planning. I'm glad you mentioned that as well. This is a great time to start thinking about some of the things that are happening in your life and what other things you are anticipating that will happen. and that would really help out in tax planning. And of course, you can reach out to us and we'll help you with that. And we've talked about other subjects such as employee tax retention. We've talked about motivation, discipline, goals, personal and professional development. We've talked about IRS audits versus financial audits, financial analysis. So there's so much things we talked about. And specifically last week, we talked about inventory management. That was very exciting. I don't know. I had a really great time talking about that last week. And then today's conversation was actually a result of a question that came up. And you know, guys, how we get super excited when we get questions coming in. And this question was about, 1099s. So you may have heard us talk about it briefly or touch upon it in prior episodes if you've been listening in all this time, but we haven't really covered in extreme completion, so we're going to do it today. So to start off, let's kind of define, Pedro, the 1099 forms. And I know there's different 1099 forms, and of course
Yeah.
the submission 1096 form, just to put out that
Yeah.
definition out there from the IRS and the differences.
Yeah, so I thought, let's start with the general, like you said. Let's
Yes.
start from there, and then we go to the specific issues. But a 1099, the way of also like a W-2, is an information return. It is a require something that you need to be aware for all businesses, that there is a requirement to transmit this information, and either you or your or professionals need to be aware of when is it required, when to file, and so on. There is nowadays we have the 1099 MISC, and which used to be kind of the traditional one. Now they added the NEC, the
NEC.
non-employee compensation.
They
Typically,
separated the two.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah.
Yes.
So typically, NEC is the non-employee compensation. Usually, is mostly used for professional services, compensation to kind of your independent contractors. That's kind of the best way to kind of and simplify it. I mean, there's other requirements, but just kind of visualize non-employee compensation has to do with more like independent contractors. The
Right.
miscellaneous, everything else is miscellaneous. And people will be surprised that 1099s is not just for independent contractors. There's other requirements out there. I'm not going to go through the whole list, but just keep in mind that there is other requirements where you might have to issue a 1099. It is an essential component of your year-end planning. It should be reviewed. You should have your accountants, bookkeepers go through the forms. To also, one of the tips that we encourage our clients is that at the time of signing an independent contractor is to have
Mhm.
these forms, including the W-9, that is,
Right.
which you're gonna need then to prepare your 1099. It's better to do it at the time of signing instead of waiting until the end of the year to try to capture that information.
Right.
And this will address some of the other issues that we're going to discuss later. But in general, the most common types of these type of information returns are going to be, which pertains to the topic today, is going to be the W-2 and 1099s forms.
Right. Right. And then there's also the 1099 DIV, which is for the dividends,
Correct.
correct?
The dividends, there's a 1099 INT for
And then
interest.
the INT.
Correct. And then the 1096 is what we call the transmittal form. Kind of in the same concept of the W-3 with the W-2s, where basically the W-9 needs to be attached to the group, even if it's one. People wonder, why, but that's a requirement. You put the 1096 is the transmittal that capture all of the different form, the totals. You know what I mean? So it's telling the IRS, I'm attaching 1 or 1,000 of these forms. Here's the total of the individual forms that are part of this batch.
Right, right, exactly. And then, by the way, this could be done in hard copy, where you can request hard copy documents from the IRS and they'll send it to you. Or you can do it via e-file on different platforms that provide it as electronically to be submitted. There's also, let's say, I know QuickBooks does it as well, where you can integrate everything. However, an asterisk there, they don't do corrections. QuickBooks doesn't offer corrections, and we were going to talk about that too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But yeah,
Yeah.
go ahead. Yeah. But it's good to it is a topic of discussion because it does come up. I mean, this is not it happens quite often. Either we discover mistakes internally, or unfortunately, when you receive a notice from the IRS that either there's a mistake or you fail to file something, and that's we'll be discussing that in a few minutes. But I wanted to share at least a couple of the mistakes. At least I have seen. I'm sure you, Marie, you have seen it too.
Yeah.
The common mistakes we see, and I'll try to see if I can give you quick tips on this on how to prevent it from
Absolutely.
happening. But one is not filing the form when it's needed. In essence, when it's needed, you just simply don't know because you have an independent contractor. Sometimes people get confused because it's a corporation, it's an individual
Right.
acting on a DBA, and so on. But it's important to understand when is it that you're required to do it. Not filing by the due date. People miss the deadlines and they forget or whatever, and so that's another mistake that ends up costing some penalties. So one of the tips the best way to avoid issues with the 1099s that I can tell is to start preparing. One, start early. Number two is, as I mentioned before, the W-9s. Sign those early and then have a review. I would say, definitely right before the year end to go through the contractors. You mentioned QuickBooks. If you capture all of your vendors and the payments to those vendors should be accurate but then having a complete review of that will minimize the amount of mistakes, either monetary, financial mistakes or errors in names, tens, and so on. Completing the wrong form. You mentioned there's different type of 1099. It could be a
Yes.
1099 miscellaneous, INT, DIV. So completing the wrong form at times also is another mistake we see. Also the wrong box, especially with the MIC,
Yes.
there's amounts that you're supposed to report in box one, three, and so on. So putting the
Right.
information in the wrong box also causes problems. You mentioned the tin. That tends to be another issue, reporting the incorrect tin, the tax identification number on the forms.
Right.
And again,
Right.
that can be prevented through reviews. And now, one tip I can provide is that the IRS, and unfortunately, I don't have the website, but there's a way for you right before you're gonna do the filings, and some of the software provide you a way to connect to the IRS website and validate the TIN.
To validate. Mm.
Yeah, and so you can use that. I don't know if QuickBooks has that, but I know some of
Yeah,
the
I don't know
online
that. I
services
don't think it does.
that uh-huh there's a fee for that, but listen, it is
It's
less
worth
than
it.
paying the penalty for the wrong tin. And especially if
Right.
you have doubts, especially a new vendor you have not dealt with him or her, validating those tins. So that could help you minimize mistakes or paying penalties later. Using the incorrect information to complete the form, like you mentioned, having
Mhm.
double checking the information, the addresses, and so on. Filing the paper return, a paper form when you're supposed to file an electronic, because whenever you have over 200, I think it's 250, I can't remember the exact, but there's a
I
cutoff.
believe so.
But
Yes. It's
yeah,
yes.
you have to file electronically. So
Electronically. Yes.
yeah, so and sometimes people made a mistake. They're growing business that they used to do paper, and they continue doing paper, but now you're required to do electronic. Uh,
Right.
Not sending. We talk about the 1096. Not sending the 1096 when it's required, and sometimes it's when you only have one 1099 and they don't send the 1096. So that you still need required to do it. And what else I can tell you? I think with that, I think it gives you an idea about typical mistakes that you can, we at least we have seen, and hopefully with some of the tips I hear will help you minimize
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. So those are definitely, yeah, some of the things that came up. And one of the questions on this one was, yes, the TIN was incorrect. There's only one that needs to be corrected, done through QuickBooks. So nothing was caught if there was anything wrong with it. The contractor responded back saying, "Well, this is an old TIN. Never corrected it. Never, notified the person So it's like, how do I correct it now? So what do I do now? Everything else, the whole batch is fine except this one. So what do I do to fix it? So what are some of the ways that entrepreneurs and business owners can go ahead and submit a corrected form if something like these types of errors happen?
That's a good one because what happens is when it comes to errors, for specifically with 1099s, there's actually two type of errors that IRS separates, and depending on which one, and it's important to know which type of error and in
Mm-hmm.
which category, what we call type 1 and type 2 errors. The
Right.
type 1 is going to be the when there's an incorrect amount, an incorrect code, meaning in the wrong box. The amount is correct, but you put it in the wrong box. The incorrect pay name or address. Uh, you file the form when you didn't have to file it, for example. So those are considered type 1 errors. And
Understood.
this, how to correct those situations is you file a corrected 1099 and you check the box corrected. And you do need to send that a transmittable form with that form that needs to be corrected.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, if you do it by paper, now if you do it electronically, you don't need to send a 1096
Got
if
it.
you do it electronically. Now the type 2 errors are going to be the one that you just mentioned, the 10,
That's the IN. Yeah.
the wrong recipient information, or the wrong form in its entirety. You know what I mean? In INT instead of the DIV or something like that. And the type 2 errors, the way to do it is, in essence, you have to file two 1099s in that case. When it's a 10, well, let's use the case of the 10. So in that case, there's already a form that was filed with the wrong tax
Right.
identification number. So
Right.
the way to
Right.
correct it now, to be more specific, let's address that. So the way to correct that situation is you have to send two 1099s, one with the exact information that was sent previously, but with zeros. And then you mark that corrected, meaning in essence, you're deleting that one. You know what I mean? So with the exactly how you filed it, but you're gonna put zero in the box of the amount that you put in that form and mark corrected. Then you have to attach a new one where then you don't mark that correct. In essence, you're issuing a new 1099 with the correct information.
Mm.
So that is the way to fix that. And you will still need to send a 1096. The question now you'll say, do you send the batch? No, you send the corrected, or
Just
if
the
it's one,
corrected
yeah,
item.
yeah.
Understood.
But keep in mind that you in that case you have to send two. You know what I mean? So you send two forms, one the corrected, one the you're in essence issuing a new 1099, and it will be a late filing, unfortunately.
Got it. Got it. Understood. So there you go. It does get complicated to kind of do these on your own. So if you need help, most definitely reach out to us to help you out. And so in the case of, let's say, if some people use QuickBooks versus, let's say, a different kind of electronic format, because QuickBooks doesn't do correction filing. So, and other electronic filers actually can, you would be able to go in and just say, hey, I just want to redo this in the corrected form. And they kind of like, automate a lot of those things for you. So what is the next best course of action in that case? Should they just go ahead and do a paper filing in that sense?
Well, in that case, yeah, you can do a paper filing. And again, if you're going to do the paper filing, you have to attach a 1096 with the
Right,
paper filing. But
right.
yeah, you can do a paper filing. There's electronic versions out there that will still, even though you did not do the original filing, you can do corrective forms. And
Okay.
if you want to do it electronically, especially if you have a couple of them, just to sit down and do it.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, if it's not too many, understood. So that's great. So I think we've answered the question that came in, and to the specificity that it came in for.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. So Okay, and then I know you've mentioned a little bit about, there could be late fees or penalties and the correction and all that stuff. I believe we've talked about it in episode 18, guys. If you want to go back and check out episode 18, I think we talked about a little bit on the 1099 penalties, but we had focused more from the angle of what do third party payment processors,
Yeah.
what their obligation is. And in that conversation, we talked about penalties. So if you would like to know a little bit more about the penalties that could be, you could be charged, please go back to episode 18 and you'll get a little bit more information on that over there. So I know we kind of like, it's still, we have a lot of time to discuss other subjects. Anything on your mind? Anything happened this week that you'd like to cover the story today, Pedro?
No, in general, before we move to another topic, in general, with the independent contractor, is a hot topic with the IRS. So I do encourage, even if you don't have this type of situation we just discussed, having a review of your employee contractor status. I mean, having somebody that can go through and properly categorize, in which bucket this person falls. To be
Right,
extremely careful about that, because again, that's an area that can end up costing the individual or the company a lot of money. Because then if you have an individual that you assume to be an independent contractor, I know that many times it's done to minimize payroll taxes. So let me put Marie on the independent contractor. I issue her a 1099, but if for
hmm
some reason I get audited, Marie is an employee. So now they're
right,
gonna have to reclassify it back to employee. They're gonna assess back taxes to the company, and there's some penalties and you name it. You know what I mean? So it's better to, before that happens, is to have somebody that understand the differences, proper classification of these. And there's court cases that, and we have some experience on even if you were to be challenged, there's some ways to either minimize the taxes or in some cases safe harbor rules that we can use to apply in your cases if you qualify. You know what I mean? But we encourage as a minimum to have independent contractor agreements, that you do file, maintain a pattern that if you treat them as independent contractor, you have filed the forms. And that's why it's so important to file on time, that so you can show a track record of my
right,
relationship with Marie. I have an independent contractor. We have paid. She has filed on her Schedule C or whatever. You know what I mean? So she has filed her return. I have done my part. And so you have created, in essence, an environment that this is an understanding between the two of us, and I can demonstrate the relationship between the two of us as an independent contractor relationship. So I just wanted to
right.
mention that before we move into anything else. Other than that, the IRS, we do encourage people also to look in general preparation for potential. I don't want to scare people, but I know that the IRS is beefing up. The COVID period put the IRS in essence on hold.
Right,
Collections,
right,
audit,
true.
and we are seeing an increase of audits now. You know what I mean? And unfortunately, they're not auditing 2020 or 2021. They're going as far as back at 2018 and 19.
Right,
So keep in mind that if you suspect that you probably have some issues, it's better you to act upfront instead of waiting for the IRS to contact you. Once the IRS contacts you, you're in essence you're under audit. I mean, you cannot now, oopsie daisy, let me correct it now that I got caught. You cannot make corrections at that point, and now you're subjected to the rules of audits, and whatever correction will be done under the audit, not by you filing amended returns or 941s or something like that. So keep in
right.
mind that we're seeing an increase on sales tax audits also from the Florida Department of
hmm
Revenue. So again, if you suspect that there's potential issues there, again, it's better to be the one making the correction before you get contacted by these different agencies. Again, the
Yes,
COVID period put a lot of these agencies kind of on hold. There was some kind of grace period to allow companies to get back on track, but it was not a forgiveness of debt. You know what I mean? They did not.
of
They're not.
course, of course.
So what they did is it kind of put a hold on collections and audits they're going back now to start in action. So we're seeing a lot of correspondence being issued to different clients. Some of them are mistakes, meaning that the information being requested or assessed is incorrect. And so we simply need to address it. So don't panic. I think that whenever you receive a letter from the IRS, is to act. Do not do not
Right.
throw it on the
Don't put it
bin.
on the of course.
Exactly. Yeah.
And as we had mentioned before too, Pedro, when they receive some kind of a letter from the IRS, take action. But when we say take action, is not to pick up the phone and respond right away. It's just,
Correct.
pick up the phone and call us or,
Right.
or your specific CPA or accountant to make sure that you have a representative
Yeah.
for you at the IRS, so that someone knowledgeable is guiding you to how to answer and how to prepare your documents for submission
Correct.
before you do anything. So, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So those are a couple of things to keep in mind. With the situation of planning, we right now being in essence we have completed the mid-year threshold. I think it's a good time now to look at your year. How's it going so far? And they want to
Yes.
encourage us everybody. Now's a good time to go through your numbers and do the necessary corrections, including and not limited to, but investing in yourself and your business. If you're falling behind, what corrections you need to make to beef up those numbers. Looking at cash flow, looking at your sales techniques. We have to be armed. Uh, we cannot be passive. We cannot retreat. Now
Absolutely.
is a great cutoff period to look at the situation. Now that we have in essence had 6 months of data of the 2022. You know what I mean? 2021 is gone. We can use it as a comparison. You can compare yourself the first half of the year versus last year, and you see the impact of the inflation that we are going through, and so on. And then now see what changes you need to make.
Right. Absolutely. And then, of course, you guys, we provide coaching services as well. So if you need assistance, you need help, you need guidance, you need encouragement, you need financial guidance,
Yeah, yeah,
we are here for you. Just reach out, let us know, and we'll be very happy to help you. We'll be able to guide you, and then get you to the on the right track. So,
yeah,
and what else, Pedro? While you were talking, actually something popped in my head, and I know it's
okay,
kind of taking us back a little bit, but there's some payroll companies that would also process contractor payments, correct? And they would also
yeah,
do the submission and the 1099
yeah.
submission as well, correct?
Yeah, the payroll services for the most part, they will do it. Yeah, I mean, now I don't know if they will take now after you filed. Let's say you went and did it yourself, and then I'm not sure if they will take just the correction. But I know that most of the ADPs and the paychecks of
Right, the bigger companies.
yeah, they will do the filings in W-2s and 1099 filings as part of their
Hmm.
services, and make any necessary corrections for you. Listen, I think when it comes to this W-2s, especially if you have I believe that it's investing in yourself and your business, hiring the right
Absolutely.
professionals. You know what I mean? I know that listen, in the long run, it pays off. You know what I mean? Hire either your accountant to offer you the outsourcing of the payroll, or get yourself an ADP or Paychecks. They will do
Right,
all of these filings. If it was a mistake by Paychecks or ADP or whatever
right,
so it's on them. They'll have to correct.
exactly.
I transmitted to you the right information. For some reason, something happened. Oops. And okay, so it's on them. But these people, that's what they do all day long is payroll. So let
Yeah.
them deal with that. They'll do the tax filing, the withholding. They will issue, the direct deposits. They will deal with the IRS on your behalf when it comes to payroll issues and so on.
Yeah.
Why torment yourself with this situation, trying to save yourself? The fees that they charge, I'm telling you, is minimal compared to the
Oh,
potential cost
yeah,
of error.
absolutely.
So no reason to you for to torment yourself on that. I have mentioned, I think, countless of times. If you go up to episode 1 and you look all that, I keep telling about bookkeeping. A lot of the errors that and I mentioned here is also errors of amounts. Yeah, I mean,
Of
because
course.
you're not
Yes.
capturing the right amounts, and sometimes what happens is that the other party may report another amount because the other party is saying,
Correct.
no. I only received 10,000 and you reported 12,000. Now there is a discrepancy
Right, right.
because somehow you counted wrong, whatever. I mean, so if you're having a proper accounting system that's capturing the right payments, you can minimize that. So having a good accounting system, it will pay off. I'm telling you, do not overlook at this. Again, I know there's some upfront cost. It's an investment. It's an investment in your business. It will reduce penalties. If you become more efficient, you have more time to dedicate to your business, for your growth, which is really what you need to be focusing on. It's not
Absolutely.
on the payroll. It's not on doing bookkeeping. Let the accountant handle the bookkeeping and or your payroll. If not, if your accountant does not handle payroll, then get a third party payroll service provider
Absolutely.
and
Yeah.
invest that time in growth. Invest in coaching, invest in sales techniques. That is what's going to help you improve your cash flow. And don't worry about taxation. That's what we are here also to help you minimize
Yes.
taxation.
Yes, yes, and we've
Oh,
talked about it before, right? Where
yeah,
where some entrepreneurs who are just started out, they already start talking about tax savings, but their top
yeah,
line hasn't even started hitting anywhere
yeah,
close to even half a mil, and
correct.
they're worried about the tax savings.
Yeah,
Just we should worry about growing sales and growing
yeah,
wealth before you worry about that. Let the professionals handle what they do
yeah,
while
yeah,
you
yeah.
focus on growing your sales.
Yeah,
So.
yeah.
You know,
Worry, yeah, like you said, worrying about taxation when you have not, worry about generating cash flow first. The
yes,
taxation we can figure ways, legal systems that to help you minimize the taxes.
yeah, absolutely. So, guys, having a business is an investment in yourself and in your future self. So, we talk about DIYing is a way to hold you back. And so, leave the professional work to the professional, and you do what you're really good at in your business. So, go get your clients, get your sales going up, and get your cash flow coming in. So, that's what you have to do to keep your business going, especially during hard times. And with that, so we are at the 30-minute plus mark. So, so we want to be cognizant of our business owners' time. And so, with that, as always, I want to leave you guys with a quote from motivational speaker Jim Rohn. You are the average of the five people you spend the most time with. I hope we are two of the five people you are spending your time with to learn and grow your business. So, with that, until next episode, have a wonderful and blessed rest of your week. See you next week.
Okay, take care.